Welcome back to the Cover to Cover Girls Book Club. I am your host, Hallie Bell Smith Wiley. Haven't changed my last name. 2 kids.
Wait, you
And
haven't changed your last name?
nope.
What's the point? Honestly.
What's the point? Anyway,
Well, well,
I'm here
my
with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Ford Pfeiffer Oliveira, because God knows what my last name is. It's so many things and long and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I changed my name immediately. But anyway,
But you guys can call us just HB and Mo because our last names are too complicated.
I'm sorry, but you saying Halle Bell Smith literally threw me for such a loop because even though your name in my phone is Halle Bell Smith, I haven't called you Halle Bell Smith in years.
I call myself it like once a week when I am filling out paperwork or
This is shocking to me. Like, this is groundbreaking
every time I
news.
take the kids to the pediatrician, they think that like the kids are from a broken home, and I'm like, no,
No, no,
we're all just together.
I'm just too lazy to go change my passport.
And I think it's because we live in like the South that people think this
Oh,
more.
for
'Cause I'm like, isn't
sure.
it pretty common for women not to change their last name these days? Like, and I want to.
Most
It's not
women
like I don't
don't.
want to, but it's a lot of paperwork. And
It
it
is
was
so
we
much.
got married during COVID, and I was like, there's no way in heck I'm sending in my passport and my ID and
Yeah,
like being
yeah.
without my things for
That's what I
who
had to
knows
do
how
that.
long.
I had to do that in the peak of COVID, and I had
Mm.
to like mail in my driver's license. And they were like, well, if you get pulled over, just like make sure you have a picture of it and then keep this email. And I was like, okay, like that feels wrong.
No, you won't be having my driver's license until there's a better way.
Right? I agree completely.
Anyways, welcome
Anyways,
to our book club.
today we're going to talk about Katherine Center's brand new book called Rom-Commers. It came out a couple weeks ago on the best day ever, my birthday, June 11th.
Best day ever.
Special guest, we've got Greg in the
Special
background.
guest. Very professional.
I like how he walks by and he like tries not to look at the camera, but he can't not. He's
And
like
he's like,
he like
every
oh,
time.
every single time it's perfect. Do you want to give like a little summary of the book or no?
Well, you do it because I've done it a few times and like it's your turn.
Okay. Okay. Well, I wish I knew what this book was about. It's about our main character, Emma, and she is a
Yes.
writer. She yes. she's a she's a writer and she gets a call from her like high school boyfriend turned gay best friend. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. I I didn't like this part. I'll just go
Oh,
ahead and
okay.
intervene.
Okay, that's fine.
It just felt weird.
Okay, should we come back to that? Because I have
We'll
questions.
come back.
Okay,
Okay, okay.
okay. Write that down. So she gets a call from her best friend, and he's like, I have a job for you, and it is working with your favorite writer ever. And she's like, no way. They show up at this guy's house, his mansion, and turns out the guy didn't hire her, and it was all just like a scam. And her friend thought that once that she got there and they met, it would all be perfect, and they would write together. Spoiler alert, they both end up getting mad at the friend, her and the writer. She ends up living in this guy's mansion, her favorite writer ever. She ends up living in his mansion and, of course, develops feelings for him because they are sitting there writing a rom com. And he doesn't typically write rom coms. He's very like Western thriller kind of sci fi writer. And so, of course, she's like teaching him how to love. She's like making him go do all these things to learn how to love so that they can write this rom com. And I'll leave it at that.
Yes. And that was a really good summary.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And I really did like the plot. Like I really did enjoy where this book was headed, the themes I liked, the dialogue I liked. I just felt as though there was a bit of messing around. I felt that they were I just felt like there were some periods of the book that my eyes glazed over. And then
Oh,
all of
a
a sudden
hundred percent.
all of a sudden, like, my eyes I'd perk back up. And I think
Yep.
and it's really sad because, like, the part my eyes glazed over, at was like her backstory about losing her mom. It just seems so out there and like disconnected from the main plot of
Yeah.
losing her mom in an unfortunate cliff climbing accident. Some rocks fell on top of her and injured her dad so severely that she is stuck taking care of him
Oh,
for
I
like
forgot
his
about
whole
that.
life.
Yeah, I forgot
But
that.
that's the thing. It just she didn't the writing didn't bring it home there. She was like I felt so focused on other parts of the story that this part of the story, I don't know, it just didn't hook me. And it could have just been me, but
Let me ask you, have you read any of Katherine Center's other books?
no, but when we posted this, I got a
Ooh.
lot of feedback from other people being like, I'm going to read this. Katherine
Yep.
Center, he's my favorite.
Yeah, she's
So I
one of
was
my
excited.
favorites. And
Okay.
yeah, I really like her. And I've read like probably two of her other books, like one that came out last year and one that's probably like a year older. And I really like those other two books. Like Hello Stranger is one of my favorites. And then The Bodyguard was like the first audiobook I ever listened to. And it's just like so cute. And sorry if you guys can hear Rosie, my dog is like over here having a panic attack with a toy. But she also does so much crossover. Like the name that you kept seeing, like Jack Singleton, he's the main
Oh, yeah.
character. He's the main character of The Bodyguard.
Oh,
Uh-huh. And
okay.
so I wrote that down. I like freaked out. But I really like her writing because it's like very quick and like witty and playful. But this one didn't, it wasn't the same for me as the other two that I've read.
Yes, it at sometimes I was like, "Oh, I'm flying through this," and then other times I was like, "Ugh,
Ooh,
I'm
yeah.
really going slow here." And
Yeah.
I I just felt I don't necessarily blame it on her. I feel like there just was a lot of meat to this story
A
and they
lot.
could have like condensed it down and expanded on some of the more not interesting parts, but just some of the plots that were more pertinent to the storyline.
But I'll argue with you on this because I read a
Oh
bunch
yeah.
of ooh yeah. I read a bunch of reviews that were like
Mm.
this book is too heavy, like it's too deep because it does talk about so much death and like sadness and like the main male character. I can't even remember what is his name? Christian?
Oh my gosh.
Charles? Charlie. Is it Charlie?
Charlie.
Charlie,
Charlie.
he has cancer or he had cancer. And so a lot of reviews were like, "Oh, this book is so deep." But I thought that that was like a breath of fresh air for Catherine Center because like, well, no, that's not true actually. Her books all kind of do have like a little hidden harsher subject,
I felt
but
like
I
it was
liked it.
oh yeah, I felt like it was akin to like a Kristen Hanna book, almost like a
Yeah.
she has this book called Summer Island, Kristen Hanna does, and it's very similar to this. It's like Kristen Hanna can like tear you down and break your soul and stuff, but like there's another category of book that she writes that's like being
Mhm.
really rich, emotional, but also like upbeat, lesson to learn, some
Yeah.
jokes. And
Very
this was
similar.
very, very similar. And it's with that book with Kristen Hanna, it felt very similar to this, where there were parts that I was loving and liking, and then there were parts I was just dreading.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. I agree. But I think she only like the parts that we both probably dreaded. I think that it was necessary because
Yes.
she was trying to connect his cancer to her dealing with death. And I I don't
Which
know. That was
there
my
was a
connect.
crossroads. I just felt the writing, like she slacked a little bit on those parts. Like the dialogue was so good between Charlie and Emma that when it got to Emma's internal dialogue about the death of her mom, taking care of her
Yeah.
dad, or even honestly the dialogue between her and her sister when they would have conversations,
Yeah.
I just wasn't feeling it. I felt like
Mhm.
it fell short.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree with you there.
Um, but there
Well,
were some hilarious lines.
she's
I
so
my
funny.
She's so hilarious. I like parts that literally made me laugh out loud. She was like, "But now I had some food in my stomach and some money in my bra." And
That's hysterical. That's
it's
hysterical.
hilarious.
I wrote one down. She said, so like he stands her up and
Yes.
for dinner and she writes, you think I'm that petty? Like she says that out loud. She says, you think I'm that petty? And then her internal monologue is, I am that petty or something
Ready?
like that. And it's just hysterical to me. Like I just love her. Like I think she is so witty.
Oh my gosh, and she just it has a lot of relatable lines, like, she goes, "I don't have anxiety, I just worry all the time."
I just
And he
worry all
goes
the time.
and the guy goes something like, "I'm gonna let that sit in the room for a
Yeah.
minute."
No, they do the exact same thing. He's like, you're drunk. And she said, no, I just had too much to drink. And he goes, that's the definition of drunk. And
It's really funny and cute, and I really did like their relationship a lot.
oh no, no, no,
You
no, Holly.
did?
No, I have
I
thoughts.
don't know.
I have thoughts on their relationship. I think this book was also a little a little triggering for me, but I think that the way he spoke to her sometimes, like why even I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it and you'll know why. Why is he even making the joke about getting back with his ex if he's not going to? Like why would
Because
he
he's
even
trying to push
say
her
that?
away.
But
I
like
do think that that was
just
a little,
why would
like
he says some things that are so demeaning, like so
yeah.
inappropriate. Not that one. That one's obviously not horrible. But like there's like a couple scenes where he looks at her and is like, "You need to back off." And like, I'm sorry, but if a guy ever told me to back off, I would punch him.
Yeah, agreed. I think well, and that's kind of like this character. I do think she captures the innocence of Emma. Like she's like been living under a rock. She's been living with her dad.
That's
She
so
has,
true.
and he hits the nail on the head at one point in the book. He's just like, "You are lonely and you haven't been around anyone." And she's like, "So are you." Like it's just
Yeah.
so true. They don't really know how, and like they can't tell if it's love or if they're just lonely. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that that is really relatable.
It
Like,
is. Yeah.
especially like if you're just, I remember there's some times in life when like I didn't have like a boyfriend or something, and then someone would ask me out, and I would be like, sure. And like, we would keep going out for a couple of dates, and I would just like eventually I would just literally be like, yeah,
I
no, I don't even like
I
you.
don't like him. I'm just bored.
I'm just bored.
Yeah.
So I do
Man.
think like she says a lot of like relatable things like that. And honestly, there were some honestly the monologue at the end by her dad when he's like he got his reverend's license to
Yeah.
marry them.
Reverend
And he's
Dad.
like, and he made him call her Reverend Dad. But like at the end when he was like, appreciate your person, be aggressively, loudly, unapologetic and grateful. And unapologetically grateful. And I just thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just loved that message. But and then she could just like flip it on its head and be the funniest thing ever. So I get why people
Yeah.
like her, and
Oh yeah.
she goes there with the dialogue. It's just so funny because this book was all over the place. There was just
It
too
really
much.
was.
It just needed some editing.
I agree. Would you read another one of her books?
Absolutely. I think
Ooh.
she's like such a good writer. Like sometimes she's just like really shining, and then other times it just felt like this was
Y-
just
Back
first
off.
draft.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I don't know if you caught this. Sometimes she spelled voila, like WAHLA, like voila. And then sometimes she wrote like voila. Did you catch that?
Yeah. And again, that's like her editor's issue. Like
Yeah.
some of
Is
these
that?
issues are like her editor's issues. Like this stuff about the guinea pigs was so funny, and I was like
Oh
repeating
my
these
God.
facts to my husband. I was like, "These are so hilarious about guinea pigs, and like, should we get a guinea?"
And like, what an odd thing to incorporate. Like, why the guinea
And
pigs?
it was awesome. It was like she spent so much research and time and
Yeah.
like dialogue around the guinea pigs that like the mom falling off the cliff like didn't need any
No,
fellowship.
no, didn't need any research, didn't need any further explanation. Well, and I did see, or maybe it was just like at the end of the book, she like writes, she's like, I'm so glad I got to write about my favorite thing, which is writing. And then I'm so glad that I got to learn about something that I don't know anything about, which is screenwriting. And I was like, ooh,
Mm.
that's really interesting. So she did a lot of research with like her buddies that are into screenwriting.
because that was the point I was gonna make when I was first starting the book. I think I was, like, in a negative headspace, and, like, if you get in a negative headspace, it's like it can, like, ruin a book for you. Like, you
For
can just
sure.
be so cynical that you're, like, tearing the book apart instead of just enjoying it,
Yeah.
and that was one of my things when I was first starting, and then I got in a better mood as the week
Thank
went
God.
on, but one of the things when I was first starting was I was like, "Screenwriter? Like, who knows a screenwriter? Who is a screenwriter?" Like, I was just, like, being I don't know, it's, like, weird to see a girl fanning over a screenwriter. I don't know, and she,
But
like,
it's
makes
so
that joke a
niche.
lot. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
niche. She
so
she
niche. It's
makes
like, yeah.
she made jokes about it, which made me feel better about, like, being kinda like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. When she like sees the lady in the coffee shop, like her
yes.
name's like Donna, and she's like fangirling, and they're like, calm down, like she's literally just a writer or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just and see, some of that was, like, a little too much, like, the jablomi
Oh
and the,
my
like,
God.
that stuff. I just felt like I was like, "We're straying
We're
from
straying.
the
I
plot."
couldn't even keep up. Any time that TJ was brought up, I just skimmed past it.
I was just like, "Who is he?"
Who is he? Why does he matter?
He
But
didn't, and he was just, like, some comic relief, but there was already comic relief
yeah,
within the plot that he should have been edited out.
yeah. Now the
Because
part
it
that
was already the high school friend, there was
yeah.
the dad, there was the sister, like,
And then the sister has the boyfriend. It's just so many things.
it's so many things.
The part I didn't skip over was about Jack, though, because he is the best. You have to read or listen to The Bodyguard. It's hysterical. It's the cutest little book. And I just love Jack Singleton. I think of him as a real, like, he's a real actor in my mind.
Those parts were so that's probably, like, my favorite scene of the whole book, and, like, the like, notion was when he came and sang at the hospital,
At the
and he had, like,
hospital?
been bribing the hospital to, like, make their experience premium. I was just like, "That is, like, so sweet." Like, that is
Uh huh.
genuinely something that I would wanna see it, like,
That's
in a
top tier.
movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really top tier stuff, like, really
Yeah.
good rom-com.
No, and I think all of her books would be really good movies because they all have like the most interesting plots. Like this one is kind of like the most normal, but like the first one I read by her, not to do a tangent, is about this like
Oh, please.
please, it's about this, it's not a disease by any means. Well, maybe it is a disease. It's basically like face blindness. So like I could look
Mhm.
at you and I could look at Greg and I could see that you're a person, but I wouldn't be able to see like your face. Like I wouldn't be able to like recognize the features. But like once you
Mm.
started talking, I would realize who you are. And so her whole first book is about this like face blindness disease and it's crazy. Like it would be
Oh,
the
does
she
a
does
lot of
so
research.
much research and it is just like the amount of work she puts into it. And the other one is about like a female bodyguard protecting Jack, that the famous guy. And so it's just like she does a lot of
Wow.
research and she does plots that like I've never even heard of face blindness. And so I was like sucked into that stupid book. They're just cute.
Yes.
They're cute. They would be good
I
movies. Good Hallmark movies.
absolutely. I was thinking this really reminded me I just watched this movie, and so I don't know if this is just top of mind or if it really is just like this, but this is just like Music and Lyrics with Hugh Grant, and I could not unsee this Charlie guy as being Hugh Grant. Like, I was like some of the
You love
dialogue I
Hugh
was
Grant though.
I love Hugh Grant, but, like, Hugh Grant is, like, a washed up pop star, and, like, it just kinda reminded me of Charlie, like, he's, like, really famous, but, like, I don't
Only
know, like,
to his crowd.
he yes, and he's got, like, the yips, and he, like, can't,
Yeah.
like, write this song, and Drew Barrymore comes in, and this girl's kinda like Drew Barrymore, she's got, like,
Yeah.
frizzy red hair, and she's, like,
Wait.
trying to help him write this, song for a hit pop star to, like, revive his
Oh my
career.
god.
It's the
I've
best
never seen this
rom-com.
movie. I've never
Have
seen
you
it.
not?
No, I've never seen any movie, Halle Bell. You know that. Halle
Can
Bell
you
Smith,
please
I've
watch
never seen any movie.
Okay, Michelle Pfeiffer. Can you please watch Music and Lyrics this weekend? Because you will think this
Yeah.
movie's so funny. Hugh Grant is, like, dancing like an '80s pop star, which, like, just is so funny because my mom was, like, a huge, like, Rick Springfield
Oh my gosh.
fan and stuff. So it's kind of like him. It's like Rick Springfield, like Jesse's girl, like type
Halle
guy.
Bell is in love with Hugh Grant. Like I
I
remember
love.
there was like a month when you compared so many people to Hugh Grant. It was like
I'm
Love
always like,
Island. You're always comparing someone to Hugh Grant
oh,
in
I
the
was like
best way.
Luca Bish.
It was
If you guys
Luca.
watch, if you guys watch Love Island that season, Luca Bish reminded me so much of Hugh Grant. Like their
Yep.
humor, just like everything about them was very similar to me.
Very top tier.
Um,
Wait, let me
yeah,
ask you while we're on it, who do you think like would play Emma? Because I wrote down a couple like immediately.
frizzy red hair girl.
Now,
I
I
just
know
don't know.
I didn't really go red hair, but I wrote young Carrie Russell. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, yeah,
From like
yeah, yeah.
August Rush. But like I
Mhm.
immediately wrote down young Julia Roberts because she's like
Oh, yeah.
not the most like
Like
traditionally
Pretty
pretty.
Woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And she had that like
She's so
90s
like
frizzy hair. I don't know.
no, that's dead on. Like a young Julia Roberts. I'm trying to think.
I don't
Okay, like looks
I
wise. Okay, you know the redheaded from Twilight? That's like the vampire.
yeah.
That's like the obscure.
Wait, that's a great one.
She
That's
could really, I don't know if
great.
she could do the acting to like communicate the humor, but like looks wise, that's what I was picturing.
That's amazing. That's the best. Yeah.
I know that's really niche, but like if you guys
No, that
remember that vampire that's like what's
what
her
is her
name?
name?
Victoria or
Victoria.
something like
Her
is it
name's
really? She's
Victoria.
supposed to be like the meanest, baddest vampire around and like she's part like
Yeah.
of it like an outlaw vampire group. Anyways.
Wow. I couldn't picture Charlie though because like I wanted him to be
Yeah.
so like cool and hot, but then all I was picturing was like a halfway bald guy that's like sitting in like his parents' basement writing books.
Yeah,
So
because that's what a screenplay writer screams to me. Or like just like a
yeah.
skinny, scrawny, teenagey looking guy, maybe. I don't know. Like
See, I'm so into Jamie
a
Dornan right
Hugh
now.
Grant.
A Hugh Grant. I don't know. I was picturing, did you ever watch The Fall? It's like an Irish TV show with Jamie Dornan. You
Mm-mm.
know him, Christian Grey though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So before he was
Oh,
Christian
that
Grey, he was like he played this role and he's like a serial killer and he's like scrawny and just like kind of
yeah,
disgusting
he's
to
too
look at.
spooky for this.
No, but he's not. Maybe. I
He's
don't
too he's too
He's too
spooky.
spooky. I don't know. I think this guy's kind of spooky though. I'll say it. I didn't trust him.
Yeah, there was this line when she was like, "He kissed me and bought me peonies and then told me he didn't like me," and then was like and she was like, "So I was convinced that he liked me at the end of this."
That
But
is
again,
so funny.
I just had her innocence like in the forefront of my mind. Like this girl's been sheltered for like 10 years. Like
Yeah.
she knows nothing. Like and when man, what did you think about the sister like going to the beach with her? I was so disappointed in her, especially like
But
after she's had 10 years of like life.
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. But the sister, like, we're like, oh, 10 years of life, but wasn't like, I think she was in med school. And I think the sister also knew that maybe the dad was already dating the lady. So
Oh yeah.
I think the sister was kind of involved more than Emma was in that aspect. She was like, okay, dad's with his girlfriend. Like, they're fine. That's his girl. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely was irresponsible. And I was like really upset by it. And I was taking Emma's side, but I was like, well, and like the
But
fact that
I'm such an Emma. I'm not a Sylvie. Like when
ah,
I dedicate myself to something,
you
I am
do.
110% in. I'm the sticky chart. And like when
Yeah.
someone comes across and is like a Sylvie and drops the ball, I get so irritated because I was like, look what I did. You
I'm so
know?
sorry. I just looked up so dramatically. Louis, my cat, just like spit up his very first hairball ever, and it was the most shocking thing that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
No, but
Ew.
ew. But no, I agree with you though. And but I also the fact that her dad and I keep calling him Sylvester, but that's not his name. Her boyfriend, what is his name?
Charlie.
No, 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 no. Sylvie's boyfriend,
Oh,
Salvador.
Silvo. Oh, Salvador.
Her dad and his dad like plotted this like surprise proposal
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh. So I don't know. I had very mixed feelings about that scene, but it was still the dialogue between her and her sister was
And it
not
was
good.
weird. I think that's where probably people, like, it rubbed them the wrong way, like, her being like, "You killed mom, and now you
Yeah.
killed dad." That took it a bit
It
far
was a
for,
bit
like, the
far.
intensity of this book, like, that could have definitely been fleshed out for, like, chapters and chapters and chapters of, like, emotional back and forth, and I think
Yeah.
that's where it may have rubbed readers the wrong way because it's just like, "Okay, you can't heal this damage overnight," and they didn't heal it
No.
overnight, but it was just kinda, like, swept under the rug. I don't know.
No, but I will say, I'm sorry, I keep talking about these other 2 books. There is a scene in every Katherine Center book that's like that. That's just like it pushes it a little too far, and you're like, "Man, this scene, this one scene, like, completely changed this book."
And
And I'm
maybe
like, "Yeah.
she, like, likes to do that to, like, and doesn't interject, like, the character's opinion so that you can kind of form your own opinion. I don't
Yeah.
know. But let's get back to the funny dialogue
Yeah."
because I had another funny one that I highlighted.
Ooh,
Wait, where
please.
is it?
Mine
Oh, when she goes, maybe she's, like, mad at Charlie, and she's like, "Maybe I'd take up line dancing for real and astonish us all by getting so good that I went to the Olympics." And
yeah,
I was like, "That is so something." In my
that
head, I'd be
you
like,
would
"I'm
think.
just gonna get amazing at line dancing and be on TV every day."
Me on the
Like,
team. That was one of my favorite scenes of this book was when they're
yes.
at this line dancing thing and Charlie is getting like slightly jealous of this cowboy and then he turns out to be Italian and you're like, "Oh my God." Like what
And
the
her
he's cosplaying as an
dialogue.
Italian. Yeah, it's hysterical. It's an Italian, a huge built Italian guy cosplaying a cowboy. Like, I'm sorry, but that's every girl's dream, man. And
And
it is
she's like, "It just
hysterical.
keeps getting better." And
Yeah,
Charlie's, like, seething in the corner, and I was like, "This is so stuff that's happened to Greg and I." Like,
yeah.
it's so, so spot on.
It's
And then when
hysterical.
he's undressing her from the pool. I guess
Oh my
it's
God.
really cold in LA at night, and, like, she, like, was so freezing she couldn't undress herself, and he's, like, undressing her, and so I don't know, and so she makes him close his eyes to undress her because she doesn't want him to see her naked, and she goes, "Echolocate like a bat."
Wait, what? I completely missed that. Say it again?
She said he's undressing her, and he's like, "I can't do this," and she's like, "Just
Yeah.
echolocate like a bat."
Oh, echolocate. I thought you were literally speaking Spanish and saying echolocate. And I was like, what is that? I was like, what are you
Oh
saying?
my god.
No, that was a
He
funny
tells him
scene
to
too.
echolocate. It's
Echolocate. And
so
then
funny.
she's like, he's trying to get her bra and she's like, you gotta push and then pull. And I'm like, you're the one asking him to
Now,
undress you with his eyes closed. Like, calm down.
I could have used a steamy scene there. What do you
Nah,
think? Like, does
I
she
agree.
normally go there with her romances?
Not really. Like
Yeah.
they're pretty chill. I think there was probably more tension in the other 2 books of hers that I've read. Actually, there was definitely more. But yeah, I could have used a spicy scene, but I also wasn't the biggest Charlie fan.
Mm.
So I think I don't know, I think if I would have liked him a little more, I would have liked a spicier scene and we just needed
Yeah.
I needed more romance. That was it. I just needed more romance in the book. It was like nothing, nothing, nothing for 3/4 of the book and then
But
like
that was
bam.
And that was the thing is, like, just the kiss, and then there was, like, a secondary, like, the moment where they're undressing and stuff, and the book is literally called Rom-Commers,
Yeah.
and I get that she was trying to communicate that they just kinda lived, like, this harmonious life, like, right off the bat, like, going to the store and, like, finding happiness in the simplicity of the relationship, but it definitely needed some more kissing, some
Just
more romantic
and
gestures.
I wanted to hear
I don't know.
Charlie's side of it too because like
Yes.
I wanted to hear like all I was getting from him was like red flag, flag, red flag. Like why it's your
And they
ex-wife.
shouldn't
Why
have
are you hiding her in the pantry? Why is it doing that thumbs up thing?
I hate it, hate it,
I
hate it.
hate it.
Unless you're listening, Apple, to this podcast and you wanna, like
Yeah, Apple, fix that.
anyways, wait, what was I saying?
Spicy
Oh, and,
scenes,
like,
red flags.
well, with the wife or with the ex-wife, I just again, like, unnecessary character, like, they could have
Yeah.
talked about her, but she definitely didn't need to be, like, in the book, like, have scenes.
And I'm sorry, but no one is sharing custody of a guinea pig. Hallie
Yeah, and
disagrees.
she's
Hallie Bell
like
disagrees. She's like, well, maybe.
I don't know. I
You
just
never
felt
know.
like
It was
her
unnecessary.
it justified because she was feeling bad because she left him when he found out he had cancer and like
She was just
and then
suspicious.
and then it being bronchitis, that is just
Oh my
so
god.
crazy. And
It's so
I I like that ending because it was like kind of cheesy and like kind of
yeah.
brought it back to the rom-com of it. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really was. I don't know. I felt like it was really romantic. Like the ending was really good, but it just took us a long time to get there.
And we just didn't see any ounce of romance. The whole like there wasn't
Yeah.
even a lot of tension. Like there wasn't even I didn't think so. Like I just didn't think there was any like romantic tension in the air. And here they're like
No, 'cause
living together.
and they're like doubting it so much that like at one point I was like, this just isn't gonna happen for her. She really
No.
almost did have me convinced that she was like gonna go home and find love somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe with Logan. Who's to say?
Maybe with
Her
well,
high
that
school
was
boyfriend.
weird. Okay, let's
Yeah,
unpin
talk
that.
about it.
I just felt like that was so weird. Like that backstory, like and that he felt so bad that he's just been calling her and giving her jobs ever since. Like
I completely forgot about that. I literally didn't think about that once.
it felt weird because it felt like he still had a crush on her.
That's
Like
what I'm
why else would anyone do that?
I don't know. That's a great point that and I didn't think about that scene more than the time I was reading it. Like,
It's because there's just too much to think about.
yeah,
There's
there's a
the death
lot
of
going
the
on.
mom, the dad accident, the sister taking over custody. There's TJ. There's Logan.
Donna,
There's
there's so
Margot,
much.
the ex-wife. There's
There's
the
the guinea
Donna.
pig.
There's Guinea Pig. We could have just trimmed like 3 of those, and this would have been like a good book, a 4.5 stars,
Ooh.
a recommended. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I would still recommend this, but like for someone who didn't have like a bunch on their reading plate.
Yeah. I agree completely. And yeah, I would recommend this to any book club though because I think it's a great book to
Yeah.
discuss. And I think
It's
it
funny. There's some
it
like
yeah.
the dialogue is good. Like I think it's a good book club book because it's not like a hard read and there's some like points that you could talk about like what would you do if you were the sister? Like there is
Yeah.
some good talking points, but it's definitely we've just read some good books and we've read some really bad books and I'm actually relieved to just have kind of a middle
A
book.
medium. This is
It's medium.
it's a perfect medium book. Yeah.
Yeah,
What are
it's
you
a
gonna
fine book.
it's a fine book. What should you rate it? What are you
A
rating it?
3.5, a
Yep.
3.5.
It's getting a 3.5 from me too.
That's perfect.
And it's good. I'm good with
It's
that.
good, period.
It's not great. I don't love it, but I like it. It was
Yeah,
like I had this book work if you're listening, don't listen, but I had this book like pulled up on my second screen. And so like every time I just like needed a little break from work, I would like peek over and like read a page, and it was the
I would do the
perfect
same
break. It
thing.
was perfect.
It's a good beach read because it's kind of like one that you can kinda, like, pick up, put down, and then that is
Yeah,
exactly what I did with this.
me too.
Like, I picked it up and put it down a lot. Like, and normally with our books, I'm just, like,
You dive in.
flying.
Yeah.
And that it took we had to reschedule. We were gonna record on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and neither of us were finished. We were only halfway, and that's not uncommon for us, but usually it's like we have 50 pages left, not like I had like
We
150 left.
No, I was at exactly 50% on the night we were supposed to record, and I was, like, panicking at work. I was, like, going to the bathroom and, like, sneaking pages. I was
Well, and I was reading this during my kids' nap time, and I would like usually I'm like, I get my snack, I get my drink, and I sit down with my book and I just read the whole time. Well,
Yeah.
I would like get kind of bored and I would like get up,
Doze
get
off,
another
maybe.
snack.
Get us yeah.
I did doze off. I
I
did.
did no, I fell asleep to this book, like, every night, and my Kindle would, like, mark the page for me. I was like, "Thank God."
Seriously though, like
But it's
it
not
is
I didn't think it was boring. Like, I thought it was a good
no.
plot. It could have been more romantic. I'm pleased with the comedy because I think
It
she's
was
so witty. I don't know, it
it's
just could have been
funny
quicker.
because I felt like she I don't know that you're gonna think you're gonna eye roll at this. She was trying to be kind of like Ellen Hildebrand because she's incorporating people from previous novels,
Which
storylines from previous
yeah,
novels. She has multiple characters that all have backstories. Like Ellen
so
Hildebrand will
many.
have like 15 characters.
It's too
And
much.
but I
You
think
love it.
Ellen does it in a way that each character is like endearing and you have some sort of interest. And I was watching an interview because I just recently read her book Swan Song.
Yeah.
It was just so good and like listening to her talk about it afterwards as being an Ellen Hildebrand stan, I was just so emotional and hearing her talk about like you don't know she didn't know what some of the characters were going to do until she was like writing it, and it took her this many years to like get to know everybody. And like in Swan Song, she incorporates a lot of people from the island and like how
Yeah.
and the dialogue just sort of came to her. She was like, "Oh yeah, this is what Fast Eddie would say. This is
Yeah.
what Blonde Sharon would say." And she like categorizes them like that, like they have nicknames,
Fast
and
Eddie.
it kind of like jogs your memory about who they are and stuff. And so I felt like she was kind of trying to do that with TJ, but it just
Yeah.
wasn't like clicking for me because I was like, I don't
I don't get
know
it.
him. I don't get it.
I don't need to know him.
But let's get back to Emma. Like I know her.
Yeah, we know her, we love her. We want
Yeah,
more. We don't care about
what
all of
more?
these other people.
Yes, and like replace that with Charlie's dialogue, inner dialogue.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
would have
that would have
been
been
way
great.
better.
Ooh, I would have loved a Charlie dialogue. Yeah.
Like see, and like kind of take out some of those like extrapolary characters and replace them and flesh out your main characters. I just think it takes a very skilled writer to have a bunch of characters that the reader's going to care about
Yeah.
and like that are the plot.
Yeah.
Like,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree. I think this is the like not the first, but this is a book where we feel the exact same.
yeah. I think a lot of people feel the exact same way, especially if you're like a reader like us and you're just looking for a good book. You're always striving looking for a good book that's going to
Yeah.
be entertaining. Like you're going to feel this way about this book.
I'm checking it on Goodreads right now because I think that it had like a ridiculous rating. Like I think it had like a 4 point something.
But this is what people do, Michelle, and this is what bothers. We've talked about this previously in our episodes where there's so much hype around the book that when people finally get to the book, they're just so excited to read it that they're
Yeah.
willing to overlook the flaws. And there's a lot of newcomers to the book community that
Yeah.
I think that are just excited that a new book's coming out by a famous author and they're just like ready and willing to
Ooh.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm not I I'm like taking each book by each book like serious. Like
Yeah.
there's like at this Ellen book, like I was trying to be very like, you know, let's hear it. Like
Yeah.
I want to see what you can do, like each book. And I feel like it's this kind of culture about new book for the summer, beach
We're gonna
read,
love
like
it.
all the advertising, like especially with Happy Place. I'm seeing it everywhere. Emily Henry's Happy Place is like the beach read of the summer. And
Ugh.
I'm like, this book is terrible.
That is a bad book. Like people need to acknowledge it's a bad book.
It's a bad book, and it's frustrating because she actually does have good books. And like Book Lover is like a really good book of Emily Henry's that is so funny and she hits it right on nail on the head. But Happy Place is probably one of her worst books,
It's
besides
probably
People
one
with
of
Me on
the
Vacation.
worst books.
Probably one of the worst books of all time.
Sorry.
And I just like hate seeing it on people's
Yeah.
beach towels.
Yeah, no, and people, but it's because these girlies, these book influencers are recommending it because, and
It's
I'll,
new.
it's new, and I'll use this moment to say, I will say thank you to, Katherine Center and the publisher because I did get an advance copy of this book and I was very, very, very excited to read it. And unfortunately, I didn't read it before it was published. But that was the thing. I was so hype about this book, and I did recommend it to a couple people before even reading it, just because it was Katherine Center.
Oh, there's a new Katherine Center book out. Like, you got to read it. And
We
it's
gotta
like,
read
you
it.
hadn't even read it. And I'm guilty of that too. Like, we've all done it, like, been really excited. Like, we were all really excited about Sally Hepworth's new book.
Were
And
we?
it, darling, I was,
No,
because
I
I'm a
was too.
Sally
I
Hepworth
was
fan.
too.
It was like Darling Girls, and we really didn't like it. We really liked it, and we had
Yeah.
like a great dialogue on it. Um, but I felt like we gave it honest feedback. Like, we had some parts that,
Hmm.
we weren't a fan of, but like we really did think it was like a good book. Like, just like if you're being a reader out there, like, read the book, read it with objective eyes. Like, let's not like let bad books circulate, please.
I love that. Let's not let bad books circulate, and let's also stop reading or recommending books just because of the authors. I'll say, like,
Yes, and books that have like a bad message. Like, I just don't think Happy Place has a good message for people.
no, 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 no. I agree completely. Wait, I'm so sorry to change the
Oh yeah,
subject, but
no,
I have
please.
to. Did you know what Emma's last name is? Name is?
No.
It's Wheeler.
Oh my gosh, which is my in-laws last. I didn't even
I,
recognize that.
I just read this and I have been giggling the whole time. But on Goodreads, it's a 4.26. And I just feel like that's pretty high. But it means that there are a lot of people out here giving it 5 stars, you know?
I hope that by the time people like read it and it like gets more reviews, it'll like trickle down to like a 3.8 or something like that. And that's what I'm hoping. Like when we looked up some of these books and we like there's barely a book under 4.4 stars these days on
Barely.
Goodreads.
And that is the issue is with
That's the issue.
that's the issue with NetGalley and with Bookstagram and Book Talk is that like you people are reading books just and giving them high ratings just because they were gifted an advanced copy of it. And like that's not the point. The point is to give bad feedback. Like Sally
I feel like
Hepworth liked my video that was hating on one of her books because it's honest feedback. Well, she didn't, it wasn't hating on, but you know what I mean? Like they want the honest feedback. So stop
I feel like
reviewing it in a
we are one
positive
of
way.
we are one of the only podcasts out there giving bad feedback about books these days. Everything on Bookstagram
Hopefully.
is so positive, and some of it needs to be negative. Like, and like I said at the top of the podcast, like, you can have a bad day and not enjoy your reading that day, but like there's a reason you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree completely. And I also think that this book, like Catherine Center, like got very popular before the book influencer world was a thing. And so this book, in my eyes, was like her brand new book since
She
this
was
new
trying
realm of
to launch
bookstagrammers.
it because honestly, when I had her pulled up on Audible, the recommended readers under her were like Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez. Like, she
Yeah,
was up there with the other beach reads of the summer, and she
the
was trying
big
to launch
players.
it. She was trying to launch it as a beach read, and I think she hit the nail on the head. Like, I think she actually achieved that
No, I do
and should
too.
be up there with those girls, and maybe even better. Like, I think Emily Henry could learn a thing or two from
I agree.
Catherine.
Oh, I prefer Catherine Center 100 times over. 100 times over. But like where I was going with that is I think that this is
Mm.
the first of her books that a lot of people are reading. Like these new
Oh, yeah.
bookstagram people who just got
Yeah.
into reading like within the last couple years.
And you're like, "No, go
And
back
I'm like,
and
go
read
back, yeah,
this."
read the other one. Like the people are giving this book a high rating because they haven't like read her other books that are better. I don't know.
Yeah. Anywho, I think that about wraps it up.
That wraps it up. My final comment.
Oh,
Well,
please.
I have two, I think. No, I'll
Okay.
just leave it at this one. My favorite was the Sam Elliott reference because I think you know this about me. You know,
Uh,
I love Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott is my
yes.
Hugh Grant. Like he is just my celebrity crush in and out all day, every day. And like immediately in this book, there's a Sam Elliott reference, and I'm like, yep, here we are.
Here
We're
we
back.
are.
This is
And
good.
that's like you have commonality with Catherine Center, I think. Like, you have like writing styles. I don't know, like, that I have commonality with Ellen
Ellen
Hildebrand.
Hildebrand. Yeah.
Like, I like her lifestyle, I like her writing, I like her character. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah. It's
sometimes you're
true.
just in because you are, like, similar to the author and,
That's
you
so
know,
true.
it really is true. And I
Yeah.
I really did like this quote, "Happiness is always better with a little bit of sadness." And
Yeah.
that is just so true. She really hit it home at the end of this book and had, like, a very beautiful message, and I really did appreciate that. So,
Yeah. Do you always read the epilogues?
yes, I think it's like to me, I don't even think about it, like, I'm just
You
like,
have
"Oh, the
to
book's
read
not
it.
done yet." Like,
Like,
there'd be no way I would set it down and, like, just like, at the end of the Bridgerton when it's, like, 2 epilogues, and I'm like, "Gosh, this book is long."
yeah. Yeah. We need to talk. We won't, but we need to talk about Bridgerton.
We have got to talk about Bridgerton. We
Maybe
have
that should.
finished the new series,
Wait, wait, wait. Oh, you finished the new TV series?
new
Me too.
TV series. Greg and I have going to start literally this week the Viscount because we're almost done with Dune audio.
Oh my, Dune, you're still. Wait. Oh my gosh. How? Wait, did I tell you this about
You
the
found the
airport?
you found
Oh,
the copy? Yeah,
wow.
that's crazy.
I should have waited. For anyone who's not Halle Bell, she's obsessed with Dune right now. And I was in the airport at JFK and I found a copy of one of the Dune books and I was like stuck. So I was like, "Oh, I'll give it an hour. Like if no one picks it up in an hour, it's mine." And I took it. And I'm sorry to the JFK airport for stealing, but it's in a good
Listen,
home. It's in a good home.
it's in a good home, and you
Mhm.
shouldn't been so careless with your books. I'm always telling Wally, my son, I'm like, books are precious.
Yeah.
Like, if he tries to rip up a book, I'm like, make him go sit in the chair. I'm like, no, no, no,
No,
you
no,
do
no.
not rip up books in this house.
No, 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 no. Maybe that'll be your birthday present from me is that book.
Oh,
I sh
that'd be fun.
I shouldn't have told you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and guys, I think we're gonna do a live episode,
Yeah,
right?
I think we should, but that's like next week. We have to figure out what to read, and we have to
Oh,
read it in a few days. Or
I
should
think
we
we can
just
do it.
or we use it and just talk about Bridgerton?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
that.
Let's do like a shorter Bridgerton episode.
Okay, that sounds good.
Wow, what do I need to
Yeah.
bring? Just my why am I asking you this on
Bring
air?
your corset and like a long flowing gown and like your
I'm gonna
curlers.
I'm gonna wear a prom dress and I'm gonna bring curlers. I'm gonna bring rollers.
You
And
remember those? I used to sleep in those little foam
oh my
curler
God,
rollers before I went to church on Sunday as a little girl.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna bring this all, I'm gonna tie it all back together. That is why you are Ellen Hildebrand and I was like a pigtail braid, and that's why I'm Katherine Center.
Yes, 110%. I love
Because
that.
that Ellen Hildebrand would do that.
She does.
Yeah. And
Probably
Katherine Center's like curly hair, put it in a pom pom, call it a day.
call it a day. I love it.
Oh, well, that's a great
Oh,
idea. I'm
man.
excited to talk live
I am
and
so
see you.
excited,
I'm just
and
excited to see you
it's gonna be the best.
on your birthday, or at least on your birthday week, whenever,
You guys are gonna like, the energy's just gonna be totally different,
because we're going to be yapping and giggling
and there's gonna be pets and babies running around.
everywhere. It's going to be
Maybe
perfect.
we'll do it on my porch.
Ooh,
Okay,
I'm freaking out.
I love it.
We've got to figure out the logistics, but we'll have Greg work on that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll get some of the people on it,
Okay,
not
we'll get
us.
our IT crew.
Maybe we'll print something out.
Probably not. Ellie, send us a copy. Ellie, can you fax that to us?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
Well,
you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll chat to you guys soon.
yay, bye.
Bye.